as he reached the clearing. There was no caboose. The sound of the train faded, and he could hear his own deep gulps for air. He felt his heart thumping along. The train melted from a recognizable object to a guessable shape, to a black dot identifiable only by its position at the vanishing point of a set of railroad tracks. Rae watched the black dot until he could not see it at all. Though he breathed evenly now, and his heart was beating at its usual rhythm, it wasn't because he was calm. It was just that his body hadn't yet heard from his brain that they were in dire straits, because his brain was still puzzling it out. For many, many minutes, he looked unbelieving at the empty air where the train had been. Then he turned in the other direction. It was a mirror image of emptiness, with an identical lesson in perspective. From either side of the tracks, more emptiness extended. There was the north emptiness, made of the strange eroded hills, and the south emptiness, with the grass and, in the distance, a blue-gray shape that must have been a butte. The south emptiness had a shallow, silty river, fringed sparsely with a few trees and bushes flowing in rough parallel to the tracks. As his brain began to take in what had just happened, Rae's body walked over to one of the trees and sat down on a small boulder in its spotty shade. He untied his hiking boots, pulled them off, and held them upside down. The gravel and dirt spilled out like sands through the hourglass onto the geological time heap of wherever this was. It felt good to have his shoes off. Rae pulled his socks off too and scooted himself around to where he could get his feet in the water. This was so nice that for half a minute he forgot how he came to be sitting there. Then he remembered and said some words. There was one word in particular that he said over and over and over. He said it until it didn't even sound like a word anymore, until he felt almost calm. Then he said to himself, "It's not the end of the world." And that was true. It wasn't the end of the world at all. It might, though, be the middle of nowhere. His backpack was traveling west in the overhead compartment of the air-conditioned train. No one would miss him for a while, or maybe ever. He had been careful about that. Now he looked at his watch again. Time was so weird. Exactly, and only 1 hour had passed since he had opened that letter. He had received the letter, with the yellow new address forwarding sticker, and urgent, important information stamped on the envelope in red ink several days ago. But it was like Peter and the Wolf. No, wait, it was like the boy who cried wolf. The letters with urgent, important information stamped in red had been arriving regularly from the camp director, and at first Rae would tear them open immediately. Inside there would be a photocopied note reminding him to bring Gold Bond powder to prevent chafing, or to wear his boots for an hour every day to break them in, to study up on this or that epic, or that the itinerary had been altered slightly due to unforeseen circumstances. But don't worry, it would still be great. The last one he had opened before this one had been kind of weird. He remembered that now. But to tell the truth, he hadn't read it that carefully. There was so much going on. The moving truck bringing the furniture, his grandfather arriving, his parents leaving for their trip. He tried to remember now what it had said, because this one said only... He took it out of his pocket to read it one more time. Dear Roy, do not come to camp. There is no camp. Camp is a concept that no longer exists in a real place or time. We are so sorry. The Summer Archaeo Trails program will not take place. A statistically improbable number of things have gone wrong, and the camel's back is broken. Your money will be fully refunded as soon as I sell my car and remortgage my house. We apologize.